Well, welcome everyone to the Capital Region Coalition for Digital Inclusion meeting. We're here at our quarterly meeting here on June 24th, and it is great to have you all here with us. Before we get started, I want to thank some of our coalition sponsors. So these events are sponsored by the Capital Region's 4 workforce boards, which include SETA Sacramento Works, Golden Sierra Job Training Agency, YOLO Works, and the North Central Counties Consortium, along with some of our corporate sponsors at SMUD, AT&T, and Union Bank. So a huge thanks to these folks for helping make meetings like this and the work of our coalition possible. I also want to say a huge shout out and thank you to our steering committee, which includes the Los Rios Community College District, the City of Sacramento, Clear Strategies, the Sacramento Public Library, and Sac State for all of your guidance and assistance with the work of the coalition. So thank you all. I know there are many of you or all of you here today, so thank you all for joining us. And before we launch into things, I want to do a little bit of housekeeping. So please mute your microphones if possible. Anyone who knows me knows that I love dogs, but I don't necessarily want to hear your puppy in the middle of our Zoom meeting, as cute as it is. So please keep your microphone muted. We will have lots of time to discuss and ask some questions. So there'll definitely be time for open discussion. But in the meantime, please place any direct questions you have in the chat or raise your virtual hand. Our staff is going to be monitoring the chat and keeping track of things, and you will be called upon. And this meeting will allow time for Q&A discussion, as I mentioned, and it will be recorded and the post-meeting materials will be shared. So this PowerPoint, all the different materials that we will be discussing in this meeting will all be available on the coalition website, and we'll also be emailing that out to folks. So all materials will be provided. So just wanted to go over that really quickly before we jump into things. And I want to say welcome to you all. It's great to see some new and familiar and new faces here. I'm Caitlin Blockus. I'm a project manager here at Valley Vision and also manager of this coalition here. And just wanted to give a little brief background about myself for anyone who is new to some of these meetings. I've been at Valley Vision about 1.5 years, but prior to my time at Valley Vision, I spent time working for political candidates who advocated for rural broadband, which is really where my heart and passion for digital equity started. Especially, I grew up in rural Northern California in Placerville, and just seeing folks without access and all a myriad of things really kind of sparked that in me and brought me to Valley Vision. So great to meet you all. It's kind of where my heart is at, but I want to jump into things here and get to know you all. And so before we do that, I want to go over our agenda, and then we'll have an opportunity for a fun icebreaker and introduction. So after that, we will jump into learning a little bit about funding opportunities, as well as the Affordable Connectivity Plan. We'll be launching our new broadband tool on understanding your broadband, kind of a broadband 101. And then we'll also be learning about our digital inclusion portal and some different updates, how the portal is being used, and as well as a tutorial on how to claim your organization's listing if you haven't done so yet. Want to walk you through that because we're seeing really great stuff with our portal. It's exciting to share. And then we'll kind of close out the meeting by sharing next quarter's coalition meeting topic and date. And we will close out. I want to get you all right on time for lunch, so we're going to close at 12:30 today. So without further ado, I'm going to share my screen for a second here and then stop because I want to see all of your beautiful faces. But I would love it if you all could introduce yourself, your organization, and share what you're doing in the digital inclusion space. I want to give us all the chance to get to know each other, especially I think we have a great group this size to connect over some maybe similar projects we're working on, or if you're totally new to the digital inclusion space, maybe what your goals look like. So I'd love if we can kind of go around and introduce ourselves and share what we're doing. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen here so I can get a great look at all of you. And let's see, does anybody want to volunteer, be the guinea pig, and introduce themselves first? Alejandro, is that a raised hand? Okay, I'm going to pass it right to you.
Hello everyone, my name is Alejandro. I work with Computers for Kids. I've been working with them for about 7 years now, and we've been into this coalition for about 3 years, I believe. And the program is great. I like how is everything going. So right now, Computers for Kids is partnership with United Way, and we are refurbishing computers for their program that they do every year. And it's been great for Computers for Kids. And I'm happy to be here and, you know, meet everyone else and learn about other organizations and programs that they all going to come together to this coalition. And yeah, that's it.
Awesome. Thank you, Alejandro. Okay, I'm going to look at anyone's face and see who looks ready. Oh, Mark. Awesome. I love volunteers. Thank you.
There we go. I need to unmute. Yeah, you should know I'm always ready to start raring to go. Mark Epstein, Director, California Environmental Technology Education Network. I would say right now, the thing that is occupying a substantial amount of my time, especially related to the digital access area, is I have been working with a number of legislative staffers. We are looking at drafting a bill for next year, which is going to provide a list of digital skill sets to be incorporated within the education code section of the grades 7 through 12 program of studies area, with the idea that this list of skill sets to be included as part of the instruction in the various content areas and seen as a graduation requirement. I think we're building a coalition as far as members, and right now we are beginning to talk about is bringing in a coalition of co-sponsors from the bill. I know I've sent folks at Valley Vision to come in that coalition, and I think there's some of you folks that represent organizations that would want to be part of that. I think, Rick, that you're probably somewhere in that realm. So as far as on that, and Caitlin did, as far as on the draft bill, did give me some suggestions in the intent language section, and I did take out most of the term literacy, just left it as far as skills without literacy, or in some cases put in the term competency.
Awesome. That's great to hear, Mark. And I think since you mentioned him, maybe I'll throw that softball to Rick Larkey next.
Hi, Rick Larkey, and my day job is North State Building Industry Foundation, and then I am also the chair of the Golan Sierra Workforce Board. And in that position, we're very concerned and interested in providing digital access for our residents.
Thank you. Thanks for joining us, Rick. Okay, who looks ready? Alice Perez, I think you look ready, and great to see you again.
Hello, everybody. Alice Perez with AT&T. We actually have a lot going on right now. First of all, it's a very exciting time, and we are meeting with different groups to see how we could potentially partner on the goal to bring broadband to all. In addition to that, we are also working with nonprofit groups that can help us spread the word to increase adoption rates, and also on our access program, which is part of the ACP program, that can provide low-income individuals with access to AT&T broadband services at potentially zero cost. So there's a lot going on right now, and just excited to be here. Thank you.
Thank you, Alice. And we're going to be presenting a little bit about the ACP later on, although Alice, I know you are truly the expert. I may tap on you at some point if folks have additional questions. And Monica, I think I cut you off. I saw you raise your hand, and we'll have to pass it to you next.
It's okay, no worries. Good morning. I'm Monica Barber. I work at SETA as a planner here, workforce development planner. We continue our efforts with matrix learning at all of our centers, and newly we've started working with North Star, who will, yay, we're excited about the new beginning with that. We're at our centers, customers can learn essential computer skills, software skills, technology skills, and so forth. So we're really excited about jumping on that bandwagon and learning more and how to be able to administer and facilitate those efforts with North Star. So that's what we are.
Yay, we're so excited to hear that. And thank you for joining us, Monica.
Well, good morning.
let's see. Peggy, why don't I turn it over to you next to introduce yourself?
Hi, my name is Peggy Delgado Fava. I'm the Executive Director for Bridge Network. We're a nonprofit organization that works with youth 7 to 25 for workforce development. We have a drop-in center, and we try to provide some of the digital divide services and resources that this coalition provides. So it's pretty much. And I got connected, I think, with you guys originally through the CARES about 2 years ago through the city with Valley Vision and the big CARES movement that we were all part of workforce development and training and getting all of that going. So thank you. And I do have to leave at noon, so I don't want you to think I'm rude, but I have another conference call. So.
No worries. I appreciate you letting us know, and thank you for joining us. I appreciate you taking the time. Awesome. I will pass it over to Danielle Sousa from the Valley Vision team and to introduce yourself.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. As Caitlin said, I'm Danielle Sousa, and I'm a project associate with Valley Vision. Very new to the digital inclusion space. I've been in Valley Vision for a year, and I've been super happy to support Caitlin and the team on our efforts to tackle the digital divide in the region. Some recent efforts include the Digital Inclusion Portal, which has been super fun to work on with No Human. And I'm extremely looking forward to letting y'all know how that's going. So yeah, happy to be here, and let me know if y'all have any questions.
Thank you, Danielle. And let's see here. What about Hasani Johnson? Or am I pronouncing that right? I hate mispronouncing anyone's name.
No, that's perfectly right. Yeah, no, that's good. That was a good one. Yes, I'm Hasani Johnson. I'm Director of Development for Improve Your Tomorrow, which is a nonprofit. Improve Your Tomorrow is really aimed at closing the opportunity gap by increasing the number of young men of color that get to and through college. And so we're happy to announce, like this past, few weeks ago, right, graduated over 190 young men to graduated high school and college. And so just through mentorship, college tours, academic support, really wraparound service, doing what we can to get them to and through. And so I was just very interested in how maybe they may be able to benefit from some digital resources, or what may be out there for some of our brothers. So thanks a lot for having me.
Awesome, great to have you with us. I'll toss it next to Yvonne Harris.
How is everybody? My name is Yvonne Harris. I'm the AVP of Research, Innovation, and Economic Development. We've been working on several aspects of digital literacy, but what we're really waiting for is the proposal that we submitted to NTIA in the program for Connecting Minority Communities pilot project. And that project is focused on sort of dealing with one community at a time. Our target community is Lemon Hill. And we are looking to, through our CEL, our Community Engagement Lab, to train digital navigators to be deployed to the CBOs in various communities. Our partners are La Familia Counseling Center. I'm looking through this, United Way, California Capital Region, the Greater Sacramento Urban League, Valley Vision, and then we do have some more unfunded informal collaborators. The focus on the digital navigators being deployed to the CBOs is to work in the communities to help access to affordable high-speed internet services, access to appropriate hardware, lack of proficiency in digital literacy and skills to build that, and to help overcome the unwillingness for broadband adoption. About last month, we were asked to update the second year of our proposal. It's for $3 million for 2 years. And so we're still waiting, but the fact that they asked us to update our budget is a good sign. And so we are forever hopeful. Trish, do you have anything to add to it? We're very excited.
Yeah, thank you so much, Yvonne. I'm Trish Kelly, Managing Director at Valley Vision, been engaged in broadband issues for many years, especially we manage the Connected Capital Area Broadband Consortium. We're funded by the Public Utility Commission to try to reach unserved households, and that's mostly through infrastructure. But over the years, especially with the pandemic, there's a focus on connecting underserved households in urban areas. That's how we came to identify the Lemon Hill neighborhood as a priority area. So we're eagerly awaiting this opportunity. We hope to get funded by NTIA with this partnership. And I want to thank Yvonne for her leadership in developing this project. Lots of great partners. And I feel like if we don't get funded by NTIA, we've got a great model. There's a lot of funding coming down from other state and federal sources. And so that's the work that we're trying to do to make sure we can fund and scale up these great projects that we have. So hoping to hear a positive word soon, Yvonne.
Yeah, and if I can add to that, at the end of 2 years, we will have a report of best practices that we can use to scale up to other priority low income, low education areas so that we can use our digital navigators in more expansive ways. So that's where we are. Keep your fingers crossed.
Yeah. Thanks, Yvonne.
Thank you, Yvonne and Trish. Thanks for joining us. I know we have some folks who are off camera, but I don't want to miss you. Michelle Ocam, I'll give folks a second.
Good morning. Good morning, everyone. I'm Michelle Ocam. I'm with the Sacramento Employment and Training Agency, like Monica, which is a joint powers agency of the City and County of Sacramento. We are the recipients of the WIOA Title I Adult and Dislocated Worker and Youth Funding for our area. We oversee the job centers that are 12 here in our region, and their neighborhood situated. The areas that I oversee, we also are the grant recipients of the funding that comes down from the Office of Refugee Resettlement for newly arriving refugees to our communities. There's 4 workforce development managers in our agency. I'm one of them. And I oversee some support units, the not so glamorous work, but there are 2 areas that I'm fortunate to oversee in terms of program, and that those are services to individuals with disabilities. So all the disability initiatives under our umbrella. And then also services to English language learners. So I'm fortunate enough to be over the funding that comes down from ORR to serve refugees. And there's a high number of them. And I will share that, with COVID, the extent of the divide, the digital divide, was front and center, and especially for that population. And so very quickly, we recognized we needed to get technology and telecommunication services. We needed that access. But if you're only handling the telecommunication services and the good technology and getting those in the hands of our clients and not addressing their literacy, then all it is great equipment, great telecommunication services that is not being utilized. So really excited that this forum, this committee has been in action and developed. A really fortunate here in Sacramento. Excited about the new portal. And we, as Monica mentioned, we secured the North Star account. So that measurement tool to actually assess the level of digital literacy, I think will be a very, very good tool for our coaches and case managers and mentors to utilize. So really excited. I would say that we are so fortunate, our community-based organizations and others that are funded under our programs have been so dynamic, thinking outside the box and addressing the digital literacy deficiencies, but they've just been winging it. So I think the more that we have refined programs that we can access, the better. And again, it starts with a measurement tool. So really excited that we're starting to kind of check the boxes off with that. So thank you. Really excited to be here today.
Yeah, great to see you again, Michelle. Thank you for joining us. And I'm going to pass over we have a new digital equity and workforce intern, Nitty George, who's joined our team. I'll pass it to you, Nitty, to introduce yourself as well.
Yeah, of course. So hello, everyone. My name is Nitty George, and I'm currently a high school intern at Valley Vision. I'm relatively new to broadband as it's just my 3rd week here. But currently with Valley Vision, I've learned a lot about broadband, and I've been working with some very intelligent women, men and women. And so far, I've helped put together some very useful broadband tools as well as helped market them. And I'm really happy to be here and learn more about broadband.
A young genius in our midst. Big fan personally. I'll pass it over, let's see, to Isabel from Valley Vision, and I'll wrap over to a few other folks as well.
Hi everyone, my name is Isabel Della Cruz. I am a project manager at Valley Vision. I used to work a little bit in the broadband space. I was with Valley Vision about 2 years ago and left during the pandemic to teach in schools for a little bit, and then came back thankfully to the team. When I was originally with Valley Vision, I was with Mark and a few of you all during the original iteration of this coalition. So happy to be back in the digital equity space with you all. Thanks, Caitlin.
Thanks, Isabel. And Kevin Wong, I'll throw it to you next.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Kevin Wong. I am the Director of Service Delivery with the Los Rios Community College District. One of the programs that I support here is to ensure that our students have access to devices and broadband to support their educational journey at Los Rios. So providing Chromebooks and hotspots or Comcast internet access. To date, we've, from a device perspective, have been able to support over 10,000 students over the last few years, beginning with at the start of the pandemic. And that's when we really started our program to provide students the devices they need. Happy to be here to see how we can engage and partner with Valley Vision to kind of support the broader community that Los Rios is in. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Kevin. I'll toss it next to Julius Austin. I know some folks might be, oh, awesome. There you go.
Yeah, thank you. I apologize. I am in transition, so I'm in my car driving back to my office. But I'm Julius Austin. I am the Sacramento Promise Zone coordinator for the Sacramento Promise Zone, of course, the lead agency for the Promise Zone.
Julius, we may be cutting in and out here. This is the convenient part of remote work. I too have taken a driving meeting. It's super convenient.
Digital inclusion is. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you now. Sorry about that.
Okay. Yeah, so the major thing we're focusing on in regards to digital inclusion is just exploring the possibility of creating a broadband infrastructure that stays independent from your normal internet service provider broadband access for public housing sites. And so working in partnership with Valley Vision. And then outside of that, I think the other thing that I would like to mention that we try to do and would need your activity involved in would be we ultimately try to connect partners to one another who can help in all aspects, including digital inclusion. So if you ever are looking for partners to help in your programs in any type of way or your efforts in any type of way, please reach out. And also we like to share out the resources and opportunities regarding broadband access and all the other parts of digital inclusion. So please share any opportunities that you have out to me, and we can share it across our network of over 1,000 leaders and ask them to share it out to the people that they serve in their networks as well. So I'll stop there. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thank you for joining us, Julius. And I will throw it over to Phil Williams to introduce yourself. I know some folks maybe sometimes, I will be tuning into things with camera off. Okay, I'll keep going around the circle here. Maybe Frank Leshinsky. Do you want to introduce yourself? Or if not, I'll pass it over to Danielle Ellison.
Good morning. This is
Good
Danielle
morning.
Ellison, Chief of Operations for the Greater Sacramento Urban League.
Awesome. Thank you, Danielle. Thank you, Danielle. And I will pass it next over to Renee John with Valley Vision.
Thank you and good morning, everyone. It's so great to see everybody on here again. I have the privilege of working with the 4 workforce boards that cover the Capital Region in digital upskilling, and thankful for their sponsorship of the activity of the coalition, which has really carried us through the last 18 months through regional funds. And just as you all were talking, and it's just wonderful to see the work of it all coming together. So I'm recognizing, you know, Julius Austin originally introduced us to MODAT, was the organization that helped us bring the portal online. Rick Larkey, Mark Epstein served on our digital skills working group last year. Rick was a steadfast advocate for a baseline digital literacy assessment and brought in our adult ed partners, which help us identify North Star. And we are now in the process of getting that adopted throughout the region. Michelle O'Cam helped us decide what languages to include in the portal to help serve the refugee population in our area. And I could go on and on and on. There's just so many great partners that are in this coalition, and there's so much excellent work that's been done by all of you. I'm not highlighting all of it. So I just really thank you for the work that you've already done and for staying connected so that we can do additional work throughout the region. And also, you know, shout out to SETA Sacramento Works, who helped us identify Lemon Hill as the highest need area in the county based on their community needs assessment. So just wanted to highlight some of the work of everyone, and it's my privilege to continue to support digital upskilling throughout the region, along with our Isabel and our workforce impact area staff.
Thank you, Renee. And I also want to pass it to Natalie Garcia of Valley Vision, and it is her last day today. And before I have her introduce herself, I just want to say a huge thank you, Natalie, because you have put together so much great data for this coalition, including the funding opportunities we're about to share shortly. So a quick round of applause and thanks to Natalie, and I will let her introduce herself to you all.
Thank you, Caitlin. I appreciate it. Yeah, data is part of what I've been doing here at Valley Vision and in my future endeavors. So I hope to continue thinking about broadband as a digital equity space in my future work. So thank you for giving me this lens to work through.
Thank you, Natalie. And I know there are some folks off camera. Am I skipping anyone? Peter, do you want to introduce yourself, or Frank before we get rolling here? Okay. I think I'm going to jump into it, but folks are more than welcome to introduce themselves in the chat and share a little bit about their digital inclusion efforts. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen once again and jump into some upcoming funding opportunities. Now, I will preface this with, we have a lot of great information on these slides. However, I do not want to send you all into a Zoom coma with too much information at once. So all of these slides will be available to you. I'm going to gloss over each opportunity shortly, but don't want to talk your ear off over here. But these will all be available later on if you want to check them out, and they all have links to the different opportunities available. So just as a preface, starting off, these are through 4 different entities, which includes California. This is through the California government, California Broadband for All, and their funding opportunities section of their website. We also have the National Telecommunications and Information Administration, or NTIA, which is not to be confused with the National Digital Inclusion Alliance, NDIA, 2 big organizations with very similar names. As well as the United States Economic Development Administration and the USDA Rural Development Department. So these are just some quick links to their pages on these different funding and grants here available for you all. And the grants that we're discussing today will be through these 4 different funding sources. So our first opportunity here is enabling middle mile broadband infrastructure program, and this is through the NTIA. It's a $1 billion grant with awards in the range of $5 million to $100 million, And the purpose of this grant is for the construction, improvement, or acquisition of middle mile infrastructure to reduce the cost of connecting unserved and underserved folks to the broadband backbone, or that kind of broadband system there. In regards to eligibility, there's a variety of folks who are available, or who are eligible here, I should say, including states, different political subdivisions of the state, different tribal governments, technology companies, or different utilities. You'll see here utility districts, different telecommunications companies, nonprofit foundations, which I want to highlight for our group. I know we have several nonprofit folks here, different corporations and institutions, regional planning councils, different Native entities, and different economic development authorities. So kind of a wide gamut of folks eligible there. And this application is due on September 3rd of 2022. But if you're wondering what you can do between now and September, the goal there would be to identify where some of that middle mile infrastructure is in order to foster some of that access, identify any opportunities for some joint infrastructure work, as well as exploring and establishing different partnerships to submit a proposal together. So a brief kind of primer there. And moving forward, we also have the Tribal Broadband Connectivity Program. This is also through the NTIA. It's a $2 billion grant with the purpose of directing funds to tribal governments, which can be used for broadband deployment on tribal lands, as well as for things like telehealth, learning from home, making broadband more affordable, and different digital inclusion efforts. For eligibility, this is for all tribal governments. And the kind of due date is to be determined. So this is something in the works, and we can update folks when that application due date does come out. But in regards to what you all can do now, next steps would be to alert different eligible entities to this opportunity, identify different underserved lands, identify needs for telehealth or distance learning or other digital inclusion efforts within those communities. And I know that there is a lot of information on this page particularly, but we wanted to give it all to you. And this is where Natalie's key data skills come in. The first two grants you'll see at the top here, the State Digital Equity Planning Grant Program and the State Digital Equity Capacity Grant Program, more focus on different states, or you'll see here District of Columbia, Puerto Rico, et cetera. You'll see for those first two, they can subgrant to other entities, which is where I think folks in our coalition may chime in. So just wanted to let you know about those, but really I think the one to focus on is the last one on the right-hand side here, which is the Digital Equity Competitive Grant Program, which is also through the NTIA. It's a $1.25 billion grant over 5 years. And these grants, the purpose of them is to implement some of the state's digital equity plan, which includes different tasks like pursuing different digital inclusion activities, facilitating some of the adoption of high-speed internet, broadband internet, implementing that workforce development side of different training programs, making different equipment and different things available, as well as either constructing or upgrading some of the different computer centers or public access computers. And then looking at eligibility, you'll see here a gamut of different organizations, including political subdivisions, different agencies of the state, tribal governments, nonprofits other than schools, community anchor institutions, local educational agencies with workforce development programs, and different partnerships. This application is still kind of to be determined, but it's anticipated to be in 2024. And in regards to what next steps folks can take now, you can monitor the California Broadband Council for different opportunities to participate in some of that state digital equity planning and kind of get your foot in the door now prior to 2024.
Caitlin, this is Trish. If I could just note too that that's one of the things that we do, especially through our Broadband Consortium, is we collaborate with the state agencies, and that's a vehicle to provide the input into the development of the state plan, which they're doing a lot of consultation with the regions and the local stakeholders. So
thank you, Trish. Appreciate it. Awesome. And now moving into some of these different grant opportunities, these are from the CPUC, or the California Public Utilities Commission. This program in particular is the Last Mile Federal Funding Account. It's a $2 billion grant with the purpose of funding last mile broadband infrastructure project to connect different underserved and unserved Californians with high-speed broadband. In regards to eligibility, entities with a certificate of public convenience and necessity certificate can qualify as a telephone corporation, as well as non-telephone corporations that are facilities-based or broadband service providers, as well as local government agencies, different electric utilities, tribes, nonprofits, and different cooperatives. So you'll see kind of a variety of groups here can qualify. Again, this application is also to be determined, but likely to open up in July of 2022. So coming up next month here, you'll be able to see when that application is due. And then if you're wondering what you can do now, you can review the broadband factors for last mile connectivity report, which is linked within this PowerPoint. Identify some of the priority communities that your organization serves, and explore and establish different partnerships to for proposal submittal, as well as monitoring the California Broadband Council for different updates. The California Advanced Services Fund through the CPUC also has their adoption account funding program, which is a $20 million program, which specifically funds digital literacy projects, or as I like to call it, digital skills, including training programs, public education to communities with limited broadband adoption. And it also separately funds different broadband access projects, which could include free broadband access in community or public spaces. It may also include community outreach that will increase broadband access and adoption. And again, a variety of groups are eligible for these grants, including local governments, different senior centers, schools, public libraries, nonprofit organizations, and community-based organizations. And these applications are due both on July 1st and January 1st, and they will continue to be due each year at those times until those funds are exhausted. I know July 1st is coming up on us quickly, so we want to provide this to you if you want to kind of get some things together for a January submittal. And in regards to what you can do now, sort of alert eligible entities for some of the different funding opportunities, as well as identify priority geographies and different communities that could benefit from this. And I think we have one last one from the CPUC here. There might be one more, and I apologize if I'm talking your ear off. We'll have some time for questions. But this is the Broadband Infrastructure Grant account. The amount is to be determined, and there's some things that are sort of up to final rulemaking by the CPUC here. But for now, the purpose is to extend broadband infrastructure into communities that are currently or underserved. For eligibility, still kind of in the works here as well, and same with when the application due date is, but just wanted to identify that for you all. And then in regards to what next steps are, what we can do now to prepare for this, identifying areas that are unserved at 25 over 3 megabits per second broadband speeds, or 100 megabits over 20 megabits per second broadband speeds, which we will touch on speeds for anyone unfamiliar with them just shortly. But identifying some of those areas that are unserved or served at these different speeds, and then identifying different broadband infrastructure to build from, coordinating with some of your different service providers, and streamlining that process here. So moving forward, I think we just have a few more grants to discuss. One more from the CPUC, which is the Public Housing Account. It's a $15 million grant with the purpose of providing grants and loans to build broadband networks offering free broadband services for residents of low-income communities, which is not limited to, but includes publicly supporting housing developments, farm worker housing, different housing developments, mobile home parks with low-income residents. So a variety of different kind of housing options there. And then in regards to eligibility, folks who are within the public housing agencies, who are publicly supported by housing developments or nonprofits that are housing providers are eligible for this grant. And kind of similar to the last one that we saw, these applications are also due July 1st and January 1st. So again, July 1st is a little too quick. We have a January application coming up to apply. And then regards to next steps, assessing some of your broadband availability and access within those public housing developments, and partnering with public housing units to explore some of those opportunities are what we can do now to prepare for that. And I think we have just about 2 or 3 more opportunities here, and we'll have some time for questions here. But this next grant opportunity, or opportunities, I should say, is through the USDA Rural Development Department, with 2 different options here. So the first one on the left being telecommunications infrastructure loans and loan guarantees, which provides financing for the construction, the maintenance, the different improvement of telephone and broadband service in rural areas of less than 5,000 residents. So looking at some of the different rural counties or rural areas that this coalition serves, I can think of some different pockets within El Dorado and Placer County that would fall directly under this. And for eligibility, this is for state and local governments, federally recognized tribes, different nonprofits, different cooperatives, as well as for-profit businesses. And this application remains open for folks to apply to. And then looking at our other USDA grant here, this is the Community Facilities Direct Loan and Grant Program. And these funds can be used to purchase, construct, or improve essential community facilities for services, providing some of that access, such as telemedicine, distance learning in some of these rural areas of less than 2,000 residents. And I think there's lots of different pockets in our region that would fall under that category. And then in regards to eligibility, public bodies, community-based, nonprofit organizations, and federally recognized tribes all are eligible for these grants. And similar to the last one, those applications remain open. I believe we have one more here, and then we'll have time for some Q&A and discussion. This is the ERate Schools and Libraries USF program, which specifically helps education and library systems, but this is a $4.276 billion grant, which helps schools and libraries attain some of that affordable broadband. In regards to eligibility, eligible schools, school districts, and libraries may apply individually or as part of a consortium. And some of that funding may be requested under 2 different categories of service, with one being services to school or library, and a second service being delivering internet access within schools and libraries. There's no letter of intent due, and again, this application remains open. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing and see if folks have any questions or anything to clarify on some of those different grant opportunities. I know I just totally talked your ear off, but all of these will be available if you want to look through them a little bit more on our website, or send them to anyone that you work with. But curious if folks have questions or comments. No questions? There's a lot of money on those slides. Come on.
I do. Could you put the last slide up again? The last one for the libraries. What I'm doing is just taking pictures, even though you're going to send the slide. I just take ones that I want, that I'm interested in. So this would be for schools and libraries only, or?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
This is an expansion of a program that they've had, ERate. Maybe Alice can actually mention that a little bit, but it's expanding that. And before, the service could not be provided past the boundary of a school or a library. That's why you see a lot of pictures of people sitting in a parking lot during the pandemic at a library or in a school site to try to get internet, Wi-Fi. So this, but not all schools have high-speed internet either. So this helps them. This is really just started out as an emergency program, and they're continuing it now.
Okay, great. Yeah, we were helping with that because we had the Wi-Fi and providing the kids
Right.
all that.
Right.
So, yeah.
We're going to be working we work with several of the districts and libraries, but we're going to be engaging in that process more proactively, I guess, or systematically, just to see how it's being deployed across the region too.
Thank you, Trish. And thanks, Peggy, for the question. Any other questions that folks may have, or anything they want to touch on again?
Yes, just have a question. So how we can review this PowerPoint?
Yeah, so we, after this meeting, we'll be following up. We'll be posting this PowerPoint on our coalition website and sending it out, a link to that via email. So this will all be available for you if you want to kind of peruse and look it over later
All
on.
right. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Any other questions? Okay, if something comes up, feel free to drop it in the chat. We'll have several times for discussion during our meeting here. I want to kind of jump to one more kind of financial opportunity program, which is the Affordable Connectivity Plan, which I think we touched on with Alice a little bit earlier, but want to give you all kind of a brief primer on what that program is and how to determine folks' eligibility. So the ACP is part of a Federal Communication Commission's benefit program, which ensures that households can afford the broadband needed for work, for school, for healthcare, and more. And so what this program does is it provides a discount of up to $30 per month towards internet service for different eligible households. And for folks who are on qualifying tribal lands, they can actually receive a discount of up to $75 per month for those households. In addition to this, eligible households can also receive a one-time discount of up to $100 to purchase a laptop, a desktop computer, or a tablet from participating providers. This plan, although is limited to a 1 monthly service discount and 1 device discount per household. So it's not per person, it's per household, but may help alleviate some of that cost for folks, help get folks connected to different devices there as well. And then looking at eligibility, and this is taken from the FCC's site. We also have that linked in this PowerPoint if you want to look at it, excuse me, a little more in depth. But a household is eligible for the ACP if the household income is at or below 200% of the federal poverty guidelines, or if a member of the household meets at least one of the criteria below, with those being a current Pell Grant recipient, so not a past recipient, but a current recipient, or if they participate in some of the following programs, including the National School Lunch or National School Breakfast Program, SNAP, Medicaid, Federal Public Housing Assistance, WIC, Veterans Pension or Survivor Benefits, as well as the FCC's ongoing Lifeline program. And then for folks on the tribal side, for folks who participate in the following programs or live on certain qualifying tribal lands, they're part of the Bureau of Indian Affairs General Assistance, Tribal TANF, Food Distribution Program on Indian Reservations, or part of Tribal Head Start. They are all eligible for the ACP program. So wanted to make you all aware of this. This kind of started at the end of last year. You might have known this program formerly as the Emergency Broadband Benefit, or the EBB, which sort of transitioned into a more long-term program being the ACP at the beginning of this year. And so we're kind of trying to communicate this out to folks, and I will link just shortly to a kind of guide to help us do that, in addition to all things broadband. So Nidhi, who you met earlier, is our new intern here at Valley Vision and help us put this together. But we've created kind of a broadband 101, or a guide to understanding your broadband, with the goal of this to create a simple, easy to use guide that covers the basics of broadband, some of the minimum speeds that individuals need. You know, if I'm a community member and I need to go down the block to AT&T and sign up for internet, what kind of speeds do I need? You know, what do I need for my basic household? Or what am I looking for there? What does that 25/3 Mbps actually mean? So we've provided some info on some of that in this little toolkit here, as well as information on the Affordable Connectivity Program, what that program provides to folks. And then you'll also see there's QR codes or linked QR codes that folks can click on or scan to go directly to sign up for the ACP or check their eligibility. There's also a QR code that will take folks directly to the CalSpeed app, which will allow them to figure out and test their broadband speed at home, see if their speeds are what they need, or how to take that forward to their provider. So this is actually linked on our coalition webpage now. I think one of my colleagues is linking it in the chat. We'll also be sending this out with some post-event materials, but wanted to provide this guide to you all for some of the community members or different folks that you work with, anybody who could benefit from a kind of broadband 101. I know some of the broadbands, especially as I'm learning it, can get pretty in depth. So wanted to provide this as a tool for you all. And that kind of brought up a question for us is, what other tools would be useful either for this coalition, for different folks that you work with, different things that we can help to make things more digitally equitable. And I'm going to stop sharing my screen, but I'm curious, what other tools that you think of can be useful or can we help to create to help inform folks in the community? I'm curious everyone's thoughts. And feel free to speak aloud or drop some things in the chat, whatever you prefer. No tools? Come on, put me to work. This is my job. Huh? I see smiles. I like that. Or this is the best tool ever, and just keep creating tools like this.
I guess for anyone who's doing direct community service or working, to support those that are doing direct community service, are there questions that you hear a lot from community members, or that might help inform if there are tools that we might be able to develop that could support your efforts?
Yeah, just having these, we're definitely a resource site, and there's such a need right now, obviously, with the struggles of just maintaining transportation and housing and food, everything. Everything is just escalated. So broadband they don't even think about it. It's just probably something they'll cut out of their budgets. So knowing that this is available, we were helping with the rental assistance program and utility help. And so part of just using your CBOs, I think, is really important to get the word out to the communities, because that's where we're kind of in between the bridge of, the opportunities that are available versus, getting it to them where they're not looking to cut their broadband or anything like that. It's always in a moment of need. So it's like, oh, my kids are, have to go to digital learning or whatever. I don't have the tools, that kind of thing. It's always kind of in response to somewhat of a crisis. So I think it helps having like these pamphlets and just literature for us to just provide, and then just, occasionally, like we're doing now, is getting the information. And so we're always happy to provide that kind of information out. So that's just my 2 cents.
Yeah, thank you, Peggy. And I appreciate Alice, you dropping in the chat. Happy to provide anyone with information from the AT&T side. I'm wondering, Alice, I know I summarized the program briefly. I'm wondering if there's anything else you want to add on the ACP or from AT&T's perspective.
I think you did a great job of summarizing the program. I do think one of the things that has been talked about is that if people are currently signed up on any of the programs that you mentioned, it is a very easy transition for them to sign up for the program. However, if they're not currently signed up in that, it is a little bit complex. So for any nonprofits out there that are helping provide that assistance, it's really important for the community to know that as well.
Thank you, Alice. I appreciate that. And I saw Peter, your question in the chat. Did you want to elaborate on that? If so, we could help answer. Awesome. Well, thank you for joining us, Peggy. Okay, I think I'm going to jump into it, but any other questions from folks? Okay. Awesome. Well, thank you. And we will be sharing that out. And if should, you know, something arise and you're like, oh, this would be a really great tool, feel free to reach out to us here at Valley Vision. We'll be reaching out with our, you know, all of these materials, and you'll have our email and such. But thank you. And without further ado, I'm going to pass it over to Danielle Sousa, who will be sharing a little bit about the Capital Region Digital Inclusion, a little tour of the portal, and going over some of our exciting metrics since the portal's launch. So I will pass it over to Danielle.
Yeah, thank you so much, Caitlin. Hi, everyone, again. It's me, Danielle. And I just wanted to preface this by saying like, thank you to the entire team for all of your hard work that went into this. Originally, this was just a concept, right? Our partners at MoHuman had a portal for the San Diego area where the portal showcased all sorts of different digital literacy and digital inclusion resources within their community. And so it's really exciting to see, you know, an idea that went from, oh, what if we had a portal like this for the capital region, and seeing it as an actual functioning website now. That's super cool. And so before we delve into that, two quick things. One, I wanted to talk about the site metrics, and two, if you would like an opportunity to explore the portal for yourself, here is the link. A little plug there, but it's in the chat. Next slide, please. Okay, so real quick, the Capital Region Digital Inclusion Portal went live around late February, so the very end of the month. And so our current metrics stretch from March to May. And so between March to the end of May, the Capital Region Digital Inclusion Portal was visited by 176 unique users. The table below shows the top cities where we get that traffic from. So here you can see Sacramento, Roseville, Carmichael, and also places like Placerville, Rancho Cordova, Rockland, even Stockton. And another important metric to note is that from March to May, the average session time was 3 minutes and 18 seconds. And so for folks who might be a little unfamiliar with what session time is and what that means for our website, session time is tracked whenever a user accesses the website, so clicks on the link. And basically what it does is that it times how long they spend on that website. So from the moment they click on that link to the moment they either exit out of the window or they become inactive, analytics will track that time to see how long people are spending on the site. And so usually a good session time to aim for a website is around 2 to 3 minutes, which might not seem terribly long, but when a Google search takes like 1/10 of a second, and often people, when they see a site for the first time, they will quickly be able to discern whether or not that website will cater to what they're looking for. And so the fact that people are spending a little over than 3 minutes is a really good sign. And it shows that people are interacting with the tool. They're using the search bar to look for digital inclusion and digital literacy resources in their area. And it just really shows that this source of tools can be really helpful for people to identify resources that are low cost or free. And then on the side, we have a neat little pie chart here. These are our top channels for traffic. And so the 4 categories, in case the text is a little small, we have direct, referral, organic search, and social. And so for a quick breakdown of what this means, direct traffic are folks who are clicking on the link to the website directly. So whether that's from our CRCDI website, or if they are finding the site on a, they type it into their URL bar directly, or they have a bookmark somewhere, that will classify as direct. A referral will refer to folks who link our website on their own. And so some examples that we pull from the metrics are MoHuman, and also Los Rios Community College District, as our portal is linked on their websites. Thank you so much. And also we encourage folks to please link this portal on their site to increase traffic, and to just let the word out that this is available for communities. Organic search constitutes folks who will search this up on Google. So say, for example, like whenever you're looking up cooking recipes, but you're not exactly sure what to look for, you'll look up like pasta recipes, and then so sometimes relevant results will pop up. And so results on Google, Bing, and even DuckDuckGo will pop up for people who are looking for digital inclusion resources in the capital region. And so that's about 23.9% of folks. And then we have social media. So we can continue to blast the portal on social media, make sure that it's readily available on our social media platforms and also partners if possible. And yeah, I think this is really promising for the beginning, and we really hope to increase the outreach that we're doing so that we can, one, continue to show folks that this is really cool and available, and two, to encourage people who are coming up with new resources to contribute to this database. Next slide, please. And so very quickly, I'm going to go over an overview of how the website looks and how it functions. When you click on the URL that I provided in the chat, it will take you to this homepage. And so noted by the green boxes I highlighted around, I just wanted to point out some functions. On the top left where it says search, as I mentioned before, MoHuman had a pilot program for San Diego. And so if you were to search up MODAT by itself, it will often default to San Diego. And so if you are looking for capital region resources specifically, you can click, or you can hover over the search option and then click on capital region, and it should direct you to this page. Another cool function is the select language. So the portal is available in English, Pashto, and Spanish. And these languages are also applicable after you use the search bar, which is the big green box in the middle. So the middle is where you are going to use general search filters to search for either free computers or digital literacy classes, computer lab, stuff like that. And you can also narrow it down by location if you want to see what's available near a specific address. And then towards the right side of the screen, we have our sign in button. And so folks are not required to sign in to use the portal. It's like any other database where you can quickly search up, sort of like a job board almost, where you can just search up relevant results. But there are some perks to signing in, which I will go over in the next slide. So when you hover or click over the sign in button on the site, you will be met with the picture that I have on the right-hand side. So when you want to register, you can be a member or a listing owner. And so I think it's important to note that anyone can contribute resources to the portal. So looking at the breakdown on the gray boxes at the bottom, people who register as members can submit resources. They can bookmark and review resources. However, any listings that they submit must be verified before they are published. And so even though anyone can sign up to be a member and say, oh, like there's this really cool like computer lab that I know the local library does, and I want to put this on the portal, anyone can submit that for verification, but before it shows up on the website for folks to see, it has to be verified by MoHuman folks. And then there is the other option when registering, which is the listing owner. And so there are some benefits to listing owners that we would really like to push because it could be a really good way to verify your organization's services. You can edit and update the listing to your liking to make sure that it's being represented in a way that is best for your organization. So say that someone put your listing up and it got verified, but you want to make sure that maybe you have a new resource that you introduced to your organization, or you want to update the contact information. This would be the best way for you to control how your organization is viewed on the website. Some other perks is that people who might not have an official website for their business, or maybe it might not be updated, you can use this listing as a placeholder for that. And so whenever people use the portal, it gives you a really good breakdown of the types of services offered by an organization, the schedule for operation, so what time they can contact you. And there is also a widget for folks to directly contact an organization if they want to ask any questions. The listing can also serve as proof of digital inclusion and broadband access aid for any funding opportunities. And so if you are applying for any grants, you can call back to this listing on the portal and say, hey, we're offering this, and this is why we believe we're a good candidate for this. So there will be a Q&A session later. So if anyone would like some more clarification on this, we'll be sure to talk about that. But for now, I'm gonna move on to the next slide. And so after registering, you will have some more fun little options that will be present to you and not visible to folks who do not have an account. So first of all, you have a dashboard where you can see how many listings you've submitted, how many have been verified and are currently live. And then when you look at your dashboard, you will have the option to add listings. And so when you click on add listings, on the top screenshot here, you can kind of see the top of what that form will look like. And so to quickly break down the components of this registration page, you have your listing title. So that can simply be your organization name or your preferred name. And then you can also select a service category. This will take the form of a drop-down menu. And some of the options you have are computers and internet training, digital services, digital tools, and internet. And so this will give you a good way to break down specific filters for people to look for. Another field that might be a little bit unclear for folks are keywords. And so keywords can be treated as tags or important words or phrases that describe this listing. So say, for example, you're looking for cat videos on YouTube, but you're not exactly sure what kind of cat video to look for. And so you can direct folks to your organization by including important keywords like free computers, or if you're within a certain neighborhood, you can say Lemon Hill or anything like that. And you can include all of multiple keywords within this field by separating them with commas. Services provided will also break down from the service category further. And so service category is like a broader categorization of what it offers, and then services provided, you can go into more detail about specifically what you offer. Next slide, please. And so after everything is submitted and verified and is on the portal, this is what it's going to look like when folks search something up. And so here you can see that you can filter your results by radius. So by default, it's set to 50 miles, but people can increase or decrease that to their liking. There are also additional tags that will pop up near the bottom of the registration page. So on the left-hand side, you can see that people who upload listings can specify if this is in person, online, or if they offer language services in English, Spanish, or Pashto. So those are additional fields that folks can use to further filter their results. And you can see here that the general format is you'll have the logo, which is also uploaded by whoever is editing the listing, the address, the name of the service, and then also just a little indication on the bottom left of what is the first general service that they offer. And so on the next slide, I have Q&A. There was another slide that didn't pop up for some reason. But basically, the slide that I'm talking about comes before Q&A, and it's about how to claim a listing. If you want, I can share my screen.
Yeah, let me stop showing, Danielle. Apologies for that.
Oh, no, it's all good. Let me pull it up real quick.
One quick thing that I really like, because I'm a big Yelp person, I love that you can favorite some of the different listings that you use a lot. I like the little hearts on that page. Thanks, Danielle.
Yeah, no problem. And so this final slide, I just wanted to show y'all how do I claim a listing if someone had already submitted my organization to be put on the portal, but I want to make sure that I verify it and I can take control of the hours and the contact forms. When you click on a listing, there will be a little notification on the top right side that says that this listing is not verified. And so just a real quick clarification that a listing that is not verified technically is, in the sense that it's been like fact-checked by MoHuman beforehand, before it goes live. But verification is, like Caitlin said, almost like Yelp, where a business can claim a page so that they have more control over a page. And so if you find your listing on the portal and you want to claim it, you will click on that notification to claim the listing, and it will pop up a little form like the bigger screenshot that I put here. So it's a general form to claim it. So your name, email address, listing URL, and also you have a field at the bottom to provide some additional information for the claim that you're trying to make. Just to make sure that people don't try to make claims for organizations that they don't belong to or anything like that, just extra security. But yeah, we hope that this tool is very helpful and easy to understand. And of course, if there's any questions, now we can do the Q&A, which I will stop sharing so that we can see everyone.
It was a great job, Danielle. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
Any questions about the portal? I like to call Danielle our resident.
Yes, me, we're here. Just a minute. No, it looks great, but I think our title on the website is supposed to be computers for kids.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's only says right now computer for kids. Yeah, just that so far. But it looks great. Everything looks great. I liked it.
Thank you, Alejandro. Actually, I think it's a great example of so say if there's a slight, correction or something like that needs to be made, if organizations claim their listing, can add that S in there, can update their logo, can add any information. And that's helpful too, because some of that, like on our back end, we've, tried to upload as many resources as we can find, but having folks claim their listing, making those edits, updating things, if someone's address changes or their phone numbers change, like the site will reflect that as folks are claiming their listing and updating those pages.
That's great.
Yeah,
thank you.
Thanks for pointing that out. Thank you. Any other questions on the portal? Are we all on our computers playing with the portal in the back end? Because I know that's what I would be doing in a meeting like this. Okay. Well, if there are any questions that arise, please feel free to ask. I like to call Danielle our resident tech wizard with all of this. She's excellent at it. But thank you so much, Danielle. And let me go ahead. We have a few things here before we depart, and it seems like I will accomplish my goal of getting all out by lunchtime, which I'm very excited about. So I wanted to go over next quarter's coalition meeting, which we have scheduled for September 23rd at the same time. One of my colleagues will drop a meeting registration in the chat here if you want to register now for this September. And I wanted to kind of float our potential topic for our next meeting out to you all, which is focusing in on digital navigators. Which if anyone has not heard of digital navigators or is like, what is this concept? I provided the NDIA's definition here. So they define digital navigators as trusted guides who assist community members in internet adoption and the use of computing devices. Digital navigation services include ongoing assistance with affordable internet access, device acquisition, technical skills, and application support. And we really feel that digital navigators are the best way to insert all of this digital inclusion, digital equity learning into the community. These are folks who are going straight directly out to the community, helping people get signed up for the internet, helping people get signed up for the ACP, helping someone acquire a device that meets all of their needs, teaching them how to use that kind of one-on-one support that is so needed in this field. And so we are hoping to feature our next meeting on digital navigators. If you want to learn a little bit more about it, the NDIA has a digital navigator handbook, which we'll link in this PowerPoint, or you can go ahead on their website and check that out. But we are hoping to feature that in our next meeting. And we've been in some conversations, I think, with Highlands Community Charter. They have a great digital navigator program. We also have our friends over at the NDIA who are launching a program. And we're hoping to feature some of these different programs potentially on a panel And we're curious if you all know of any digital navigator programs are going on or anything that you recommend that we investigate or kind of highlight in that upcoming meeting. We would love to know about it, and feel free to chime in or drop in the chat here if you know of any. And then I also just want to kind of quickly plug after that coalition meeting in September, I think it's about 2 weeks after that meeting, will be Digital Inclusion Week, which is October 3rd through the 7th. And we will be releasing, we did a social media toolkit last year. We may do something similar or some additional materials this year that we encourage folks to kind of push out on social media or reach out to the constituents they work with. But you all can also register as a participating organization with the NDIA, which helps to connect you with other people passionate about digital inclusion. They have a really great community of folks all across the country, and it's been great for our coalition to sort of learn from some of those examples, to connect with other folks, to see what they're doing. So I recommend you all register as a participating organization and look forward to some stuff coming out from us on Digital Inclusion Week and different things we can push out. I think we'll keep the rest of our time here for a little Q&A, or I'm totally here for all the digital navigator recommendations you have. I hope they come flooding in. But with that, I think our team might stick on here to answer any questions or talk digital navigators, but I think we're going to adjourn with that and just thank you all so much for taking the time to join us here today. And, you know, I know we threw a lot of information at you with funding and portal and some of these different policies coming down, but I really appreciate you all taking the time to join us and just your passion and effort for digital inclusion, because that's what makes this great work happen. So thank you all again. And again, totally here for all the digital navigator recommendations. But if not, I will let you get on to your grilled cheese sandwich or salad or whatever summer lunch amenities you prefer. But thank you.